if I was free hitting this week, I think this is probably the team that I would choose. And I feel like there's a bit of a template forming.
But I don't know if I would go for certain defenders that you might have picked here. It's a little risky, but yeah, interesting. I don't really understand why nobody is talking about this guy. Everyone seems to be looking elsewhere. They're like Nottingham Forest midfielders. But for Game Week 29 and Game Week 30, this is probably the solution that works best for me.
The data, though. Captaincy is a strange one this week. We haven't got Super Mo Salah, so it means people actually have to use their brain for once to pick a captain.
I know, we're going to have to go dumpster diving for the best captain this week, seriously. But I think there are still a few options.
Couple.
Hello and welcome back to the Stick to FPL podcast. This time, the Game Week 29 edition. The free hit special. We're calling this because whether you are on a free hit or maybe you're planning on wildcarding in Game Week 30, 31, it's kind of like having a mini free hit if you're using some free transfers, taking some hits. I think that's certainly in the kind of boat I'm in. Sim, hello.
The boat I'm in is overturning. We might as well call it the Titanic. It's capsized.
Oh, your boat's capsized?
My boat has capsized. My boat is underground. I'm in the deep sea expedition boat.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Yes.
It's imploded.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It has it? Yeah. Well, I mean, I know what's happened to your team this week, so I think we'll leave that as a teaser for later in the show. We'll see exactly what happened to Sim's team this week because it is somewhat of a disaster, but I have to say I didn't have a great Game Week 28 and your experience has made me feel a little bit better about whatever pain and suffering I thought I was feeling. So yeah, that to come, of course. But yeah, man, it's an interesting week because it's all about basically reshaping our entire teams for the next Game Week 29 or maybe even into Game Week 30 as well. So I want to talk about a lot of the players that we might be thinking about picking up, removing those blanking players. Goodbye, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Aston Villa. Get out of here. We need fresh. Get out of here. We need fresh blood. And that's what we're going to be getting. But guys, if you want fresh bloods in your app library on your mobile phones, then how about Fantasy Football Hub, the regular sponsors of this channel? That was probably not our best ever segue, but you know.
I mean, you had a great opportunity after I said imploded, right?
What?
If you don't want your season to implode.
Oh yeah, that would have worked. Yeah. That would have worked. Yeah, this is why you do the segues and I stay quiet. But yes, guys, if you haven't checked out Fantasy Football Hub already, make sure you do. Really, really useful going into this blank and double game week period. Their My Team tool now has chip integration, so you can plan out your chips using their My Team tool, as well as get great access to all of the articles and the fixtures, the stats, all of that good stuff. So go check it out. Link in the description, Linktree. You know where to find it by now. But if you haven't checked it out yet, do it because it's time to save your season if it needs saving. But there we go.
Well, I mean, you ain't got much time. That's for sure. No. That's for sure. But there's always ways to go. And you may have noticed I'm drinking out of my lovely Stick to FPL mug.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know how to feel about this, by the way. Producer James has replaced our mugs with our face on and our logo, which I guess is pretty cool, but it feels a bit weird drinking out of my own head.
The thing is as well, because of the way they're oriented, if you're going to show your own head, you're drinking out of my head.
Should we do a swap and drink out of each other's heads? I'm going to drink out your head.
No, you're already drinking because my head is facing you.
Yeah, because I'm looking at myself.
Yes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a very bizarre experience, but we're going to give away one of these, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We're going to give them away to one lucky or maybe unlucky viewer.
Definitely unlucky. Definitely unlucky. So if you want one, all you need to do is answer this simple question. How many points in FPL? Generally.
You said you had how many points in FPL?
Yeah.
Come on. You could do better than this. How many points
will Salah get in Game Week 29?
Oof, I think a few people are going to get that right.
You reckon?
Yeah.
All right, well, if you could guess how many points Salah will get in Game Week 29, you'll be in a chance of winning a mug. Just make sure you're subscribed to the channel or wherever you're watching this, maybe on the Spotify. And we'll pick a winner out and we'll send out a mug. But you have to get the answer right. So leave a comment. How many points will Salah get in Game Week 29? If you get it wrong, you're not got a chance.
Oh. Well, look, if you don't want the gift of the mug, we've got a better gift for you. So check this out.
So, Sim, we're officially a proper podcast now because we've got the sponsorship, the big one, the big one. We're big time.
Manscaped?
No, better. NordVPN. Now sponsoring the Stick to FPL podcast. Yes, indeed. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I actually use a VPN very, very frequently. Sometimes you might need a VPN to access certain content, football content, that you might not otherwise be able to access if you are abroad. But also, like, when I'm out and about, often take my laptop places, like to, if I need to do a little bit of work out on the go, I like to have that extra level of security, particularly because I have a very, very valuable FPL account.
Ooh.
Yes, it has several top 10 million finishes on that account. And if my FPL account was to be hacked, I don't know how I would recover from that. So having that extra layer of security via a VPN is genuinely very useful to me. And NordVPN, by the way, it's like one of the fastest ones out there. Like it's huge. It's the biggest, most trustworthy. Absolutely love it. So, I am genuinely a VPN fanboy, and content from around the world, wherever you are. Sim, your thoughts?
It's really interesting. Personally, I'm really intrigued about the 30-day money-back guarantee. Just means you can try it out, really take it through its paces, see what's good. 4 months for free.
Yeah, you get 4 months extra for free with our deal, yeah.
And also, it's not just on the one device, 10 devices you can use it on. So really, really interesting. If you want to check it out, please do. Personally, I really want to check out because ChatGPT in America has this super function.
Yeah.
Which it scrapes websites and can make bookings for you and stuff.
Oh, for real?
They've just piloted it. It's really cool.
I want to try that out. To sort that out.
And you need a VPN to get into that.
Honestly, before I started using VPNs, I was a little bit skeptical as well. It's like, is there really any benefit? But once you get going, it's like, why was I not using one before? It just makes so much sense. It just makes life smoother. Super cheap, super accessible as well. Obviously, max 10 devices, so get one subscription, whole family's involved in that. It's light work.
Feeding the family with VPN subscriptions, keeping the family secure. The kids be all over the place, running around, accessing all kinds of Wi-Fi's.
Birthday present, if you've got a family member's birthday coming up, get them a VPN, get them NordVPN using our exclusive link, which is nordvpn.com/stick to FPL for this exclusive deal. Link also in the description and link tree. NordVPN for your birthday, I think, is a good idea.
The best birthday gift I've ever been given ever.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is that what you would want for your birthday?
If you got me something else, I would be offended.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, well.
How dare you get me a gold watch?
Watch?
Dare you? When I could have had NordVPN.
A gold watch is not going to secure your FPL account, is it?
Nor my family's FPL accounts.
No, all of your FPL accounts are screwed. And you've got, at least I can tell the time on this little gold watch. Pathetic gifts. Pathetic. NordVPN, link in the description.
Wow, that's the best ad ever.
Okay, let's get straight back into it with the fixtures first of all, because I think this is probably the best way to start when we're looking at new players to buy for this week. Some people will be looking for players just for Game Week 29 alone. That's if you're free hitting in Game Week 29, or if you are wildcarding in 30 anyway, so you are essentially free hitting in 29 in a roundabout way. But yeah, we've ordered the fixtures today based on the Fantasy Football Hub fixture ticker of, who they think has the best and worst fixtures. Obviously, we see all of the teams with a blank Game Week 29 at the bottom of this list. But at the top of this list, we see the likes of Bournemouth. And they're a team that we've spoken about a lot in recent weeks. I think a lot of people have got multiple Bournemouth players at this point. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's maybe some potential to add a third if you wanted to.
Possibly move away from some, depending on minutes problems.
Yeah, if it's a Dango, then, maybe replace them with another Bournemouth midfielder. That would work. That would work because there's great fixtures for the next two. So particularly if you're looking for a 2-game week period, I think Bournemouth's still really good. I think... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think a big problem here is Bournemouth are going to play, I think it's 3 games in 7 days.
Yeah, but they're like kind of chasing Europe. They're like, obviously, they have the FA Cup as well, but I don't think Bournemouth are going to pass up this opportunity to have a really strong finish, particularly as we're looking like getting 5 Champions League teams. That's a really big opportunity for a team like Bournemouth who play in front of 4 or 5 people at the
Don't do that to them. It's at least 10.
So this is huge for them.
Fair enough.
So it's not the kind of team I see rotation from, even in a scenario like this. I mean, we're at the tail end of the season. It's a big opportunity. So they do have certain players that might be more prone to rotation than others, but your big hitters, I think, are probably going to be pretty good. Yeah. It's players like Dango that you worry about more than anyone.
Dango, possibly Evan Nilsson. He's just coming back. Is he ready to play that many minutes? Clivert, almost guaranteed to play, right?
Yeah, at this point.
Semenyo, pretty guaranteed to play.
Yeah, Clivert and Semenyo, I'd say, are the two. And then probably the defensive line are fine as well. So if you've got a Howson, if you've got a Kirkes, they're going to play every game as well. And of course, the keeper or the Kepper, should I say, should be fine.
Good one.
Wasn't, was it? So yeah, other than that, we've got Man City up here, another team that looks really good for a 2-game week period against Brighton at home and Leicester at home. Obviously, the better fixture is game week 30. So I'd say Man City players are more players you might buy if you're looking for a 2-game week period rather than one. Southampton, not going to talk about them. Wolves, super interesting here. They face Southampton away and then West Ham at home. So they have their better fixture in game week 29. So they're far more in the forefront of our minds right now. Arsenal is actually above Nottingham Forest in the ticker. And I think that's for the 2 home fixtures against Chelsea and Fulham. And then we have Forest, Ipswich away, Manchester United at home, which I think debatably is a good fixture these days. But of course, these kind of tickers take much more historical data, long-term data when we're kind of looking at these. But perhaps if we're looking for sort of short-term solutions, you might want to consider short-term form a little bit more than you perhaps would otherwise. Yeah. But aside from that, there's not really a huge amount of teams here that I think would be super keen on investing in. Is there any other teams that are standing out to you?
I mean, from a 2-game week run, it's just that top 6, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, top 5, not discounting Southampton. Manchester United, Everton.
For a 1-game week.
1-game week.
Yeah, if you want a free hit, maybe you want a bit of that action.
I think what's also a little bit concerning here is almost all the teams that blank in 29 have brilliant fixtures in 30.
Yeah.
And people are obviously going to be selling those players. Which, when we talk a little bit later on, I'll explain why I'm slightly changing my tune here.
Okay.
But it's really good players from really good teams that we're probably going to have to lose.
Yeah, the solution of that, of course, is to wildcard in game week 30 instead of 31, which I still think is a possibility. Depending on cup results, I think that actually could work pretty well. We spoke about last week the idea of free hitting in game week 33. If you're free hitting in game week 33, going for a wild card in 30 is actually less of an issue because you're in game week. If you're free hitting in game week 33, the focus of your squad is going to be about bringing in players who you know are not going to blank, and we'll have that information by the game week 30 deadline. The information we might not have by the game week 30 deadline is who will be doubling. So we'll know who will blank, but we won't know who doubles. So I think that may, to a degree, there could be games that technically blank at the weekend and then rearranged into the midweek. But we're maybe getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit. It does get quite techie. But in general, I think that maybe solves that problem. But I think if you are, wildcard 30, 31, I'd like to leave the option open to wildcard in 31 rather than forcing yourself in 30.
I would almost certainly prefer to wildcard in 31. fixtures don't help you out. The fixtures definitely lean into a 30 wild card, but it's just the information is so much more valuable, I think.
I think that maybe the only exception of that is if you can load your team with Bournemouth and Man City and have that nice 2-game week period for those teams. It might feel a little easier going into game week 30. Yes, you might not have triple Liverpool and Newcastle and Palace or whatever, but if you've instead got some Man City and some Bournemouth, it might ease the pain of game week 30 a little bit more, because they obviously have arguably better fixtures. Really, in Ipswich and Leicester as home fixtures as well there.
Yeah.
So that's possible.
Right. Let's talk about some of these teams in a little bit more detail. And we're starting off with Manchester City.
Yes.
A team in and out of form, seemingly, seem to pick up a little bit of steam and then lose a game where I can't even say you'd expect them to win that kind of game anymore. Forest are a very good side, but didn't look that threatening.
No, didn't convince.
Yeah, they had a lot of possession in that game, but it didn't look like a game where they battered Forest and sort of got nicked on the counter at one point. Forest really made a good showing of themselves. In terms of the data of the players who are FPL relevant, again, these are not sort of the kind of numbers that you're expecting to see from a team like Manchester City. Top of the list is 0.6 XGI over the last 5 games.
6 game weeks, but Haaland's played 5 games in 6 game weeks.
Got you. So is this per start? Yeah.
Yeah.
So 0.6 XGI per start. Normally we're used to seeing Haaland at like 1.2, right? So he has fallen off a little bit, but it is still Haaland, and he is, as we'll probably see later, one of the most interesting and most explosive options that we have available to us in Game Week 29.
Definitely, and maybe even more so in Game Week 30 at home against Leicester, which is, a fabulous fixture. No matter what you think about Man City, it's likely that they're going to get a few goals at home to Leicester. So
yeah. So what's your take on Haaland at the moment? Is this someone that you're going to prioritise?
I think certainly if you're on a free hit or wildcarding soon, it makes it a lot easier to go for a player like Haaland, where you're not kind of permanently locked into that player. If you do change your mind in a couple of weeks, you want to redistribute the money. That's absolutely fine to do so. I think if I wasn't wildcarding in the near future, I would be a little bit more cautious about spending all of my hard-earned cash on Haaland, because he is just so expensive. And over the long term, you do wonder if he is going to be value for money. Especially when we see players like Salah doing so well. We're going to have Saka back very soon as well, and I think we'll be having a close look at him. And maybe Son comes back into form. Palmer, players like Son and Palmer, sleeping giants in many ways, and we might want access to those players again. It's going to be strategy dependent a little bit. If you are going for the free hit 33 strategy, it's more than likely that you're not going to want to have Haaland outside of your free hit 33 team.
Yeah.
So it might be nice to just have a little go on Haaland now in the short term, and maybe release him longer term.
But I think a bit of context for some of the listeners who may not have caught last week's episode. They're probably thinking, why does he keep saying free hit 33 instead of 34? There's an alternative strategy to the standard one we've been looking at, which is to wildcard in 30-31 and use your free hit attacking the double in 33 as opposed to the blank.
Yep.
A lot of some of the big hitting players are going to be available in 33, sort of like Liverpool, for example.
Yep.
We'll be thinking anyway.
Well, yeah, Liverpool will be playing in game week 34.
34, sorry.
Will not double in 33.
Yeah. So it's something to consider. It means that you'll have a free hit that you can actually attack a double game week rather than be more defensive. And it will also mean that you're not sort of held ransom to what the fixtures are going to turn out to be, because you'll just figure out on the day.
Yeah. I think for me, it hinges on Crystal Palace. If Crystal Palace progress in the FA Cup, they win their quarterfinal, I think it's against Fulham, and they go to the semi-final, that means that Crystal Palace, if they win, they'll be doubling in 32 and 33 and then blanking in 34. But if they lose, I don't know how likely that is, but Fulham are a fairly good side. If they lose, they'll be doubling in 32, but then they'll have a single game week in 33. So it's like you want them for the double, but you actually probably want to replace those Crystal Palace players with double game week players in 33. So it might make more sense, particularly if Crystal Palace then play again in game week 34. It makes sense to have them as part of your standard team, as well as Newcastle, who will also double in 32, but won't double in 33 and won't blank in 34 either.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking.
Okay, let's fly through some of these players. So number 2 at 0.4 XGI, 5 starts as well, is Savinho, and then followed by Mamouche at 0.3, also 5 starts, obviously didn't start at the weekend. Gvardiol at 0.3. I mean, Gvardiol with the same amount of attacking threat as Mamouche is concerning, but 6 starts for him. Phil Foden at 5, 0.2 XGI. It's not sort of world-beating numbers.
It's not.
But the fixtures and the history makes you tempted. Let's just quickly start off looking at Savinho, Mamouche, and Foden.
Yep.
Of the 3, are any interesting to you?
Savinho interests me the most because I think he's had the most minutes of these guys in recent weeks. He seems to be playing every week, and not just in the Premier League as well. He seems to play every Premier League game, every Champions League game, played against both the ties against Real Madrid and continued to play in the Premier League throughout that period. Let me just verify this, but I think he's played in the Premier League the last 5 games in a row. Started the last 5 games in a row, played 90 minutes in 3 of them, 89 minutes in another one, and 68 minutes against Forest. But of course, Forest was the most recent fixture, which does worry me a little bit. You wonder if that's the start of a trend. I don't think he had the best of games against Forest either, worryingly. But I think in general, he's been one of Man City's best players. He's certainly been up there.
FPL-wise, though, is he a player that you'd be that interested in? For me, he doesn't feel very FPL relevant.
Well, I think that's maybe because he's been more of the side of assists more so than goals this season. But it has to be said, he's had 2 hauls this season. 13 points against West Ham in game week 20, 14 points in game week 19 against Leicester, who Man City play, of course, in game week 30. So there has been some big moments from him, and he's clearly a very talented player as well. Had some big chances against Spurs as well. A couple of weeks ago now. So I wonder if he is still, if you're looking for, because 6.2 million is pretty cheap. If you're on a bit of a budget here,
I just feel like with that money, there's so much better places you can put it, right? I'd rather go to a Forest midfielder.
Okay.
I'd rather go to a Bournemouth midfielder.
Yeah.
So for me, he just kind of falls down the pecking order. And already we have a bit of a dodgy Man City. They're playing Brighton, which isn't like a gimme.
No, and Brighton have been playing well recently as well.
Like on some serious form. I think they've won like 5 or 6 on the bounce now.
It's good.
So it's, I don't know. It's not for me.
No.
I think what I was a lot more interested in up until the weekend was Mamouche. 0.3 XGI, so he's actually less attacking from a data perspective than Savinho.
Yeah,
but
he's scored 3 goals in one game and hasn't done. I don't think there's any other goals or assists.
Yeah,
in the Premier League at least.
Yeah, but he looked good. He's looked good, and his positioning is better.
Yeah,
but it now seems that there's a little bit of a positional headache between Mamouche, Foden, and even De Bruyne, who seems to play the easier games.
Yeah.
So that now also brings in a little bit too much jeopardy in a game week when you need all your players to play.
Mamouche is too much of a minutes risk. Even when he was starting, he was getting hooked reasonably early in games as well. He hasn't so far been a 90-minute man. So yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. If you're looking for those players who you know will play, or you know will get minutes, and that's what you need, and that's what you're looking for, Mamouche is not that guy anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Would you sell him if you had him?
No.
Okay, I agree with that, by the way.
Yeah.
You keep him if you have him, but you probably don't buy him at this point.
No.
You look elsewhere.
Yeah.
Foden, a little bit too expensive for what he is offering right now, out of form. Is he even more nailed on than Savinho? I'm not sure he is.
He's not. Like, I feel like not only is he not nailed on, but he's also not offering anywhere near anything to consider.
No.
Like,
even if he costs 6.5 million or something like that,
yeah.
This not really offering much anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, I can't remember the last time he got an attacking return.
It's been weeks. That little flurry of form seems long behind us.
Yeah.
9.2 million, it's just too much. Final player I think worth mentioning is probably Gvardiol, 5.9 million. 0.3 XGI, but that is massively inflated by that open goal he scored against Chelsea. Because outside of that, there's not really been too many attacking returns. But he is a player who has historically managed to get goals and assists, which is always possible. And like we mentioned last week, Man City have improved defensively as well. And they really, really have. Even against... I'll get the numbers up here. Even against Forest, 0.73 expected goals conceded. That's strong. That's strong. If you can do that every week, you'll keep clean sheets more often than you won't. Yeah, typically. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, something to make me laugh. Edison has more, not XGI, but GI, so actual goal involvements per start over the last 6 than Phil Foden.
Edison has 2 assists in the last 6 game weeks.
Yeah. So
if you're looking for an attacking player, pick Edison, not Foden.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, Gvardiol is definitely someone I think who's there to consider. Like, the fixtures are kind of there. I'm not expecting a clean sheet against Brighton, but of the available players, he is pretty good. I think having some skin in that defense isn't the worst thing if it's for a 2-game-week run.
But for a 1-game week, it's non-essential.
And for a free hit, like you don't have to do it. Like I'll probably consider Arsenal defender. But
I'd rather have an Arsenal defender in game week 29 than a Man City defender. I would say. Pretty comfortably actually.
Yeah, but he's probably the most likely person after Haaland that I would... Well, he is the likely person after Haaland for me to pick up. I don't think I would pick up any other Man City player other than Haaland and Gvardiol.
I would personally throw Savinho in there as well, but there's not a great amount of options. Yeah, really. Let's do another team.
Top 3 Man City options if you're on free hit for game week 29. What are you doing?
Well, whether you're on free hit or not, I still think you've got to consider these guys anyway. Haaland, number 1. So he would be my number 1 choice. I would say Gvardiol, a little bit of skin in the defense might not be such a bad idea. Man City have improved defensively, and like we say, Gvardiol has a history of getting goals and assists. And Savinho, data backed guy. He is the data backed guy, and actually, genuinely, he has some of the best data among midfielders. Generally, not just in Man City, but generally in the Premier League over the past 6 game weeks. So he'd be my 3rd pick. I'm guessing your 1st and 2nd pick is the same.
They are indeed. But Haaland number 1. Yeah. Gvardiol number 2. Yeah. I'm really not that keen on Savinho. I'd actually punt Marmoush before I went for Savinho, so I'm gonna go Marmoush. Given that not the one game because they lose basically every other week these days, but given that he didn't start against Forest and Foden just hasn't given any reason, I do think there's a slightly better chance of him starting in game week 29 and even 30 compared to another option. So I'd probably go Marmoush. Plus he's a forward and there's not that many brilliant forward options as opposed to midfielders. Yeah, that's a good point. So I would go for Marmoush as my 3rd.
And Foden's in the bin.
Foden in the bin. Wow. Stick him in the trash. I roasted Foden at the start of this season and I got cooked for it. Yeah. Here we are, 0.2 XGI at GI over the last basically 10 years.
It's not the one for a 9.2 million midfielder, is it? It's
not at all. No. Let's take a look at Nottingham Forest next, the super team.
Yeah, so I would say there's less players playing, but more options. Because Nottingham Forest are a far more secure team. You kind of know who's going to play every week, which is really, really handy. We've got Wood at number 1 for expected goal involvements over the past 6 game weeks per start at 0.6. Although it has to be said, he's hardly done anything in the last few weeks in terms of shooting. He hasn't got a goal. I can't remember him taking that many shots.
In the last 2 weeks, definitely not.
But that's kind of his thing, right? He takes like 1 shot per game and it somehow finds the back of the net. But when it doesn't, the scores look a little worse. Yeah. But yeah, past 4 game weeks, I'm just looking through his data now. Past 4 game weeks, it's 0.57 XG in 4 game weeks.
Combined?
Yeah. That's like combined in total. So what's that, like 0.1 something? Yeah. 0.178 XG per game.
That's a bit shocking, isn't it?
It is. But like, when has that ever made a difference to Chris Wood? When has stats data ever mattered for him during the season?
But also Ipswich.
Yeah. Who are a better side than Leicester and Southampton, and it's away, I think is worth mentioning. It's still an opportunity, don't get me wrong. It's still one of the very best fixtures you can have.
Yeah. And then Man United.
Which I like as well.
Which is a great
As
fixture.
a pair of fixtures, I think they're really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
I think it's decent. I think Wood he's probably in most teams, and if he's not in most teams, he's going to be. He's the safe play, obviously. Of the forwards available to us, there's not too much out there for you to want to go to gamble against him. Obviously, there's Haaland, there's Vissa, there's Wood, and who else? Evan Nilsson, maybe Mamouche.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt the top two forwards to have in your FPL team right now are Haaland and Wood.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah.
The third place is maybe a little bit more contentious, but we'll come to that when we have a look at our free hit teams that we've each made.
Yeah. So he's definitely there. I think the question for Forest players is, who do you pair with Wood? And do you possibly even consider a triple up? Because defensively, they're the best defense on results this season.
Yeah.
I think they've got 2 more clean sheets than you guys.
And their data has been really good last 2 weeks. Over a 10-game week period, Nottingham Forest have been dipping data-wise, but they're back on a positive trajectory. And in difficult fixtures as well against City and Arsenal. So there's something to be said there for sure.
Clean sheet against both of them, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So really good stuff there. In terms of the attackers, I think the key ones to consider are Elanga, 0.5 XGI, Gibbs White, 0.3 XGI, and Hudson-Odoi, 0.1 XGI.
Yep.
The one a lot of people are considering is Gibbs White, but obviously Elanga has better data.
Yeah, I think the problem with Gibbs White is he's 6.5 million. He's just that little bit more expensive, and I think that is putting people off. I think a key difference maybe between Elanga and maybe some of the other midfielders is output doesn't seem to be there. He seems to be all data, but not very much output. And I think for me, when I'm looking for short-term picks, I think data is less reliable because data usually predicts long-term results. We're not looking for long-term results right now. We're looking for, some people are just looking for Gameweek 29. Some people are looking for Gameweek 29 and 30. It's not like we're picking a player for the long term. We haven't got time to wait for a player to get into form, wait for them to start hitting their or matching their expected kind of targets here. So that really does put me off Elanga quite a lot. But then what puts me off Gibbs White is the 6.5 million price tag. And when you're looking to try and get Haaland into your team,
You need that money.
that 1 million is a lot.
Yeah.
It really is a lot. Where are you between Elanga and Gibbs White right now?
I'm not mega keen on either. If anything, it would probably be Gibbs White. He's obviously playing really well at the moment, hugely outperforming his data by the looks of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
If you forced me to pick one, I'd probably go Gibbs White.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't love it. I'd probably go for it because it's still a decent option, and it's because of the game week. It looks nice, but I don't know. Elanga feels a little bit more fun, but I mean, you're right. He's not sort of sensational at the moment either. Hudson-Odoi though,
he's my guy.
He's your guy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it goes back to what I mentioned. We've not got time to wait for players to come back into form. We need a player to do it right now. We need a player who is doing it right now. And Callum Hudson-Odoi has 3 goals in the Premier League in his last 4 starts for Forest. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
And his data is poor, don't get me wrong, but against Man City, obviously scored that goal in at the near post, but he also hit the post in that game as well. He looked more direct. He looked more threatening than certainly Elanga. I did quite like Gibbs White's positioning, although Gibbs White maybe a little fortunate with the assist, lobbing it all the way across fields to Hudson-Odoi, who really did all the rest himself. But the fact that Hudson-Odoi, it's kind of like Kluivert. Kluivert is another player whose data is actually not that good, but when a player has that confidence, has that swagger, will take on that extra man, will take a shot where, usually you don't expect to score it. That is what Hudson-Odoi is doing right now, and we need someone right now. Yeah. So to me, if you're looking for that combination of cheap price and hopefully immediate output, Hudson-Odoi would be the player I would prefer, which goes against, I'm meant to be the data guy. I'm meant to say, no, it can't continue. The data's bad. Yeah, sometimes you just need to watch football. I hate it.
Oh, he thought he would change me. Yeah. Look how the turntables.
Yep. How the turntables.
So for you are picking Hudson-Odoi over Gibbs-White and Elanga.
I would certainly say if you're not on a free hit and money is an issue, then Hudson-Odoi would be my first pick, out of the 3 Forest midfielders. If you're on a free hit, I'd be more inclined to go Gibbs-White because I think people on a free hit probably have quite a lot of money to spend. So, you can play it a little safer or find that middle ground with Gibbs-White. Anyway.
Okay. So let's quickly talk about the defenders then. 3 options really to consider here.
4?
4, I guess, that you can consider. Milinkovic, Murillo,
yep,
Olaena, and Sells.
Oh, wait. What about Nico Williams? We counting him?
Would you not just go... Okay, fair enough. I guess
4.4 million.
Oh, is he 4.4?
Yeah. So significantly, he's like almost $1 million cheaper than Aina.
Damn.
Yeah. So if you are on a budget, why not? And actually, Nico Williams has better data than Aina as well.
It's 0.1 versus 0.0.
Yeah, okay, right. Let's be totally real here. All Forest defenders have horrible, horrible attacking data. However, that extra key pass made could make a difference in bonus points. You don't necessarily have to get the assist to get the points from a slightly more creative kind of defender there.
Okay, fair enough. So, obviously Sells if you need a keeper.
Yeah, he's number 1 choice, I think.
Of the defenders, so he's number 1 of the whole lot?
Yeah, if I had to pick one defensive asset from Forest, I would go for Sells. But that's less likely to happen because people are less likely to make goalkeeper transfers, right?
Yeah. So of the 4 defenders then, have you got any favoritism towards any of them?
Yeah. I would put Murillo number 1 because he is a bonus points monster compared to the other guys. And I don't expect any of them to get attacking returns. It's particularly over a 2-game week period. You just need to be super fortunate, and the fortune can come anywhere. Actually, Murillo's attacking data is really it's better than Aina's technically, and really no different from Milinkovic or Nico Williams. I'd probably put Nico Williams in second though. Price tag helps, but it's just that tiny bit slightly better data. And people will always rave about Milinkovic and. People always rave about Aina because he's got the most points this season. But as we've kind of seen over the past, however long, Aina got a few attacking returns early on in the season. I don't think he's got...
About 7 game weeks ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while. It will happen occasionally. It will happen occasionally to all of these defenders. Previously, it's fallen in favour of Aina, but when you watch Forest... It doesn't look like one is particularly more likely to get an attacking return than any other. So why spend the money on Aina when you can have better bonus point access on other players? But that's me. What about you?
I'm on the complete other side to you, man. I think Milinkovic is number 1. I would take that risk of the chance of all of them scoring is relatively low. Yeah. It's less low for Milinkovic.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? I think if any of them are to get an attacking return, it's most likely to be Milinkovic. So I'd punt that. And you're right in the sense of he probably is nowhere near bonus most of the time because of how little he's involved in build-up compared to Murillo. But I don't know.
He scored against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he's... If someone's going to score from that 4, it's going to be him.
I agree. And if someone's going to get an assist, I would say it's Williams.
I would say Aina.
Evidence doesn't suggest that's true, though.
The evidence doesn't, but it's... I don't know.
Aina's got 1 assist this season.
How much does Nico Williams have?
Also 1.
There we go. The evidence doesn't point to either of them, right? It's just, I don't know. Maybe I've got a bit of a soft spot for Aina, but I don't know. I feel like he's having, not even I feel like, he is having the best season of his career.
Oh, for sure.
He just looks like he's playing with a lot of confidence. He takes some random shots, right?
He occasionally, but like I can't remember seeing that recently.
I mean, he hasn't recently because his XGI is 0.
Oh right,
but he does sometimes. Maybe not in the last 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, if you take a longer view, long-term view.
He does sometimes, and he scored like 2 goals so far this season. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'd probably punt that, and maybe I'm thinking more from a free hit sort of perspective.
Yeah, money no issue.
Right.
You think less about these things, right?
You likely won't be in a position where money isn't an issue if you're not free hitting, and in that scenario, it's just such an easy decision to go for Nico Williams.
Yeah, but I also think, in these scenarios, sometimes it's about finding those edges. And I think because so many people will go for Reiner, I think this is a good opportunity to get that. It's probably like, a 5% better chance that Williams will get something than Reiner will.
Yeah.
But that slight edge, could be the difference when so many people will go for Reiner because they'll just look at who scored the most points this season. Oh, it's Reiner. He must be the best pick. When actually, if you watch the games, look at the data, in the last, recent couple of months, that hasn't really been the case.
Yeah. Right, final team to cover, and we'll do this a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and then we'll do our free hit teams.
We will. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
Almost, but yeah.
Wolves. So, top man Cunha is obviously suspended because he is a naughty boy.
He is.
Are there any options on this list that you're considering?
It's really difficult, and I think I'm probably not alone in being, looking at Wolves' fixtures and thinking, okay, there's no Cunha. Is there anywhere else we can go? Can we find something in here? Anything at all? And the answer is not really. Guedes has pretty good data, but I've only played 2 games in recent game weeks because of injury, pretty much. Monetzi scored in game week 28, but he picked up an injury, was subbed at half time. Bellegarde is probably good for minutes right now, and it has been okay in the past, but again, nothing really to write home about, particularly when we consider, compare him to like the Forest midfielders. You put Savinho in that conversation, maybe Arsenal, Odegaard, Nwaneri, whatever. There's a lot of other midfielders that you would put above Bellegarde. Sarabia, not nailed for minutes. Where do we go? I mean, people have been speaking about Strand Larsen. We spoke about him last week and basically said, without Cunha, Strand Larsen is going to be weaker. So far, that seems to be true. Could that change?
I mean, his XGI is 0. Foden's got more XGI than him.
Yeah, he's not taken a shot, I don't think, since he's come back into the Wolves team.
Looks like he's not made a pass either.
Certainly not an attacking pass, no. So it's a barren wasteland in terms of those Forest attackers. Defenders, on the other hand, Aït-Nouri?
I mean, I think he's the only option in the team. I guess you could argue Semedo as well, but he's the only option really that I would be considering. And this is not even like a pick based on data, or this is just a legacy pick. This is a pick. Yeah. He was doing well at the start of the season. Stick him in. Let's see if he does something against Southampton. I think that's the only reason why you'd be picking him. And it's not brilliant, but like you could do worse, right? It's still Southampton.
Yeah, it's good fixtures over the next 2. He has a history of attacking returns. His attacking data is not great recently, but it's not non-existent. So you have some kind of chance. And I think Wolves are not the worst defence in the Premier League either. The one player that I do like for Wolves, outside of Aït-Nouri, because he'd probably be that number 1, is Agbadou. Because he's only 4 million. And if you are trying to find that Haaland money somehow, and you need to make a major downgrade to one of your defenders, Agbadou could be the solution to that. Nailed on centre-back, good fixtures, an okay defence. He's playable for the next 2 game weeks at 4 million, which can't be said about pretty much any other defender that cheap. So, an interesting pick for sure.
Yeah. Rightio, let's move on. We'll do captaincy in a moment. Let's do our teams, and I'll start off with what I suspect is your one from this button.
Yes.
And it is.
It is.
Talk us through your team.
Yeah, so this free hit team costs 100.3 million. I hope most people have that much money. If you don't, like, how...
Well, I mean,
How has that happened?
some of the picks here are a little bit unnecessary. So I'm sure even if you don't have the money.
Oh, you could just downgrade someone on your bench, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, we've got Sells in goal against Ipswich. We've got a defence of Gabriel, Gvardiol and Ait-Nouri, which I think is pretty strong. I think it's pretty boring and template maybe, but I think it's strong. In midfield, we've got Bruno Fernandes and Martin Ødegaard, who I think, as an Arsenal fan, watching him for the last 2 games, I think he's put in 2 really good performances, looks much more attacking, direct, and he's a penalty taker as well. And that is useful. You can't deny it. We've got Kluivert in here and Burmo, 2 more penalty takers. Hudson-Odoi is my preferred Nottingham Forest midfielder. And up front, Erling Haaland and Wood. And then on the bench, I've just put some players who I think are also really good options as well. Raya, I think, is fine for this week. I just love the Arsenal defence generally. You can play them any game week. They'll give you a good chance. Chelsea is a bad fixture for most teams, but a Chelsea for Arsenal is just as good as a Southampton for Wolves, really, I would say.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I think the odds of clean sheets will be similar in those 2 games. Evan Nilsson is on my bench here, and Kirkes also a potential option, and Agbadou for like a cheap final bench defender. So that is my free hit team. So what do you think of it? Do you like it?
I like it. When I saw this, I did a little about Ødegaard, because I think, with respect, I think it's a horrid option.
Right, but if you're on a free hit.
Even if you're on a free hit.
Okay.
I don't like it. Don't like it at all. But everything else around it, I do like. I think, arguably, I'd want to start Evan. No, not even arguably. I would start Evan Nilsson over Ødegaard. I just don't think he's a good option.
No. I think set pieces and penalties help. We've seen a lot of people in recent game weeks pretty much get bailed out by penalties in what otherwise would have been very nice, very poor game weeks. And I think just keeping those options open, picking players from maybe the teams most likely to get penalties in a game might be pretty nice. I mean, Arsenal, they've not really created much, but they spent a lot of time in the opposition's half, and they do naturally pick up free kicks and corners, and maybe a penalty might happen at some point or another. So Martinelli back as well, which also helps if you're looking for those kind of players to drive into the box and win you those penalties. So I think, I think the data from the Man United game was really good. Let me verify that. I mean, I obviously I watched the game, but I try and back this up with some evidence. 0.4 XG, 0.47 XA.
It's pretty strong.
Which is strong. Obviously against PSV, he scored, assisted, did everything.
But that was like a 7-1. Like, you guys didn't score for like 10 weeks in the Premier League and smash someone in Europe.
Yeah.
Like,
counts.
In the Premier League, you haven't been a good outfit.
Form counts in all competitions.
I know, but also if he hauled against a Southampton and blanked against everyone else, you would still have the same consideration there, where you'd say, okay, like, he's not suddenly a great option because he smashed in Southampton. It was Southampton.
I agree, but if he didn't look dangerous against Manchester United, I would be agreeing with you. But I wonder if that PSV game just gave him that additional bit of confidence to take that shot on, to thread a pass that is maybe a little more risky than he often does, because he has been criticised in the past for maybe playing slightly safer passes than other creative midfielders.
I think of the punts available, obviously he is the punt in this team. Everyone else is relatively...
Him and Hudson-Odoi, I would say, are the 2 punts.
Oh, sorry, yes. Hudson-Odoi is also definitely a punt, because most people would be going for the Ilango or Gibbs-White option. So Hudson-Odoi I really like. Ødegaard, of the punts, I do like it. Like, compared to other players people are going to consider, I've got a similar option in my team, which you probably won't like either.
Okay.
But compared to like a Savinho, I prefer this. It's a pretty solid option, but I just think there's other players I'd probably want to go for before that.
I get that. And I think people will naturally feel nervous on Ødegaard, and there's almost certainly some Arsenal bias creeping in there, but I was looking for punts. I looked through my team. It looked so boring. I was like, we need to spice this up somehow. Who's a player no one will ever pick, maybe for good reason? And Martin Ødegaard kind of came up for me.
I think Ranieri would be more interesting.
I don't know if I agree.
Really?
And the reason is Martinelli being back.
Ah, yes.
Which
right.
To be fair, I think it could be Martinelli through the middle and Ranieri on the right, which could be super interesting. But I don't know.
Yeah.
And I do know that Ødegaard will play 90 minutes. He will be on those set pieces. He will be on those penalties, and I think that helps.
Yeah. Right, y'all. Let's take a quick look at my team. Relatively similar to you. I've gone for Sells in goal, Gvardiol, Kirkes, and Aït-Nouri. I'll talk through my defense a little bit more in a moment. In midfield, I've gone for Bruno, Kluivert, and Burmo. And my punt is Son.
Interesting.
Up against Fulham away. And then front three, same as yours, with Haaland, Wood, and Evan-Nilsson, except I'm playing Evan-Nilsson. And on the bench, I've got Minter, Milenkovic, and I've got Castagna sat there, but don't worry about Castagna. He's just sat there as a last option.
Could have put Agbadou in there.
Well, I didn't know Agbadou plays football. So we're going for a 4.2. I mean, I don't even need to save budget. There's loads of money in the bank, kid. This. I almost kept Palmer, and I was like, you know what? Let's not be silly here. So
why
yeah.
do you not think Palmer can perform in the big games?
I don't think Palmer can perform in games right now.
Fair point.
So a little bit traumatized from the last couple of weeks.
We'll get there.
But so I've got Kirkes and Milenkovic, and I don't know who to start. And clearly, the Hub AI is also having the same problem with the same predicted points for them.
Yeah, identical predicted points between those two.
Yeah, I think I would just about lean into Kirkes because of the higher upside. And Bournemouth, it's so weird that I consider Bournemouth a better team than Forest, but they're not. But they are. I don't know how to explain that.
They look better.
Yeah.
When you watch them play, Bournemouth look like a better football team.
Didn't Bournemouth do in Forest as well?
Yeah, like, wait, did Bournemouth do in Forest? Wait, no, we're getting confused with the Brighton thing again.
Who done in Forest? Someone smashed Forest.
Who smashed Forest? It was, they lost. Wait, they lost 4-3 to Newcastle a couple of weeks ago.
And someone smashed Forest.
It was Bournemouth. A few weeks back again, maybe even a couple of months now.
Yeah.
It was 5-0 to Bournemouth.
There we go. You see? So, Bournemouth, better team.
Bournemouth are the better team. Okay,
yes.
Great.
Yes,
great.
Excellent. So, there we go. Kirkes starts. But this is still what I would consider a safe wildcard. Like, it's very similar to yours. I mean, you just didn't start Kirkes and you had Gabriel in there instead of Milenkovic.
Yeah.
I've also got Minter on the bench. Again, wouldn't start. Probably definitely won't make it on given the lineup, but it's interesting. He's interesting.
Minter's got really good data.
Yeah.
Really good data.
But if I were to free hit, I wouldn't pick this team.
Oh.
Which is weird.
Why did you?
Because
what are we doing?
If I were to free hit, I'd be a little bit more aggressive. And I don't know where I would find that aggression.
Okay.
But maybe I would. I don't know. I'd have to find somewhere.
Well, some of these picks are aggressive. Like Evan-Nilsson, by the way, I love Evan-Nilsson as a pick, and for me, he is the third best forward for Gameweek29 and 30 actually. And I don't think too many people will have him. He is pretty differential. I mentioned him as I didn't say he was my third favourite forward last week.
You did.
He still is.
Yeah.
Still is.
You did.
No
good
change.
shout on that because he scored and he started.
Yeah. I thought he might.
So a really good shout there. Son is obviously the weird one in here. Not really predicted many points.
That's been minutes issue for Son though recently, right?
Yeah. But he won the penalty against who did they just play? Bournemouth. And he scored it. So penalty taker, obviously. We don't know how many minutes he gets.
Yeah.
But it is Son. Fulham away, tricky fixture, but he feels more explosive and fun than a lot of the other options I'd be considering. Because here I could go for a Forest midfielder. Well, no, actually I can't. I literally can't in this lineup.
Oh, yeah.
But
you could get rid of Milenkovic if he's going to be benched anyway, right?
Exactly, yeah. So in theory, I could go for a Forest midfielder. Do I really prefer an Elanga, Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi over Son?
If money's no issue, yeah.
Yeah, probably not. Foden, not really going to happen. Evan-Nilsson won't happen. I mean, sorry, not Evanilson. Savinho won't happen. So it's tricky. I mean, I probably would land something close to this, but I might tweak things around a little bit. I'll probably get rid of Gvardiol, actually. I might get rid of Gvardiol and bring in an Arsenal defender, and then I might punt, I don't know, Sarabi or something stupid like that.
That would be stupid.
But yeah, I mean, I'll do something close to this, I think. And I think this is kind of forming to be a little bit of the template free hit.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, my only player I don't really like is Son, and I would like to have some Arsenal defensive cover in there. But yeah, no, again, it's a strong team, and I think we're in the starting 11. We're 8 out of 11 players the same.
I mean, the players that you benched, I have as well.
Yeah, well,
Evanilson and Kirkers.
Great point. Great point. Yeah, we're pretty similar. Yeah. Well, great minds think alike, and fools seldom differ. Let's have a look at the highest predicted points for Gameweek 29.
This is very interesting because obviously captaincy is going to be a little less simple this week with one super Mo Salah point record breaking absolute Egyptian maniac
unavailable
for
Gameweek 29. Oh, by the way, he will still outscore whatever captain you pick this week.
Oh, 100%.
Somehow your captain will get -1 point and you will wish you captained Salah.
100%. 100%. And, he's so... I can't stand him. Mo Salah, even when he's not playing, he bothers me.
Yeah.
Anyway, the best captain this week on paper is Erling Haaland by some distance.
Yes. Everything else is kind of like a little speculative.
It is.
Hoping for the best.
It not only is it speculative, it feels dirty.
Captaining anyone other than Salah feels dirty, to be fair. I feel wrong. I feel unclean.
Yeah. I mean, it's not looking great when the second best captain is Cole Palmer against Arsenal.
Yeah. And that's only because it's Cole Palmer.
Yeah. Obviously, he's not really an option. I think the 3 players people will seriously consider are Erling Haaland, Bruno Fernandes against Leicester away, and Wood against Ipswich away.
I agree. Yep. Top 3 for me as well.
How would you rank Bruno and Wood?
I would think I would put Wood over Bruno if I'm trying to be safe. But I think because Bruno is a midfielder and gets extra points for goals and, has that, like, I know Wood has scored more than 1 goal in a game before, but going back over years, he's not typically someone who hauls very often. I know he has done it this season. I just keep thinking it can't keep happening. And recently it hasn't been happening.
I think he's had 2 returns in a game 3 times this season.
One,
he had a hat-trick and then goal and assist.
4 times this season.
4 times
Which is not bad.
Yeah,
that is reasonably good.
And he tends to do it against the easier fixtures as well.
Yeah.
I think Southampton was a 12-pointer. He dropped a hat-trick against Brighton.
So we've got Leicester here, Everton, Southampton, and Brighton. Yes, in the freak 7-0 win. Where the hell did that come from?
Right,
and there was a penalty in there as well. I think a couple of penalties have been in here.
Yeah, so double digits against the 2 other relegation teams, and he's now playing the final one.
Yes,
so it's definitely a very interesting option. Safe, and I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be heavily captained, and I'm pretty sure he'll be very close to 100% EO this week.
Yeah, he'll probably be over 100% effective ownership.
Yeah. The other option is obviously Bruno, who's playing for a team. Bruno's basically the Cunha of Manchester.
Yeah, he is
just like so much better than every other player in his team, and just seemingly dragging them to points constantly. Dragging them, not points, but like actual Premier League points. He's interesting. I'd be nervous. I'd be very nervous about it.
I don't know if you would be nervous. I'd be more nervous about Wood in many ways, because when you watch a game of football, when you look at Wood, nothing happens for 99% of the game with Chris Wood. At least with Bruno, it's like you have a chance here, you have a chance there. He'll put in a good through ball, or he'll take a corner, or there might be a penalty shout, or he takes a shot from distance. And it's kind of non-stop with Bruno doing everything in that Manchester United team.
Yeah.
So it's it's more exciting to watch a Bruno captain, I guess.
Yeah. I'd say very frustrating to watch both.
Frustrating with Bruno for very different reasons for Wood, but yeah. Bruno has the form.
He does. And he seems to be getting points every week at this point.
Yeah. And Wood does not.
Wood has not. Yeah. So, Haaland, Bruno, Wood is your order?
I'm going to put Wood ahead of Bruno only because it feels safer. Bruno for the daredevils, Wood for the safe and simple people out there.
I would absolutely concur, and I would say Haaland, Bruno, Wood is the top 3 best captains.
Fair enough.
So let us move on to differential of the week.
Yes. Again,
neck and neck once more.
Yeah, boring 3-point blanks all round for our game week 28 picks.
You couldn't even get a yellow card.
No, nothing. I mean, they even played pretty much identical minutes. I think Nkunku played 1 minute less than Neto or something like that. But 3 points each, blanks all round in differential of the week in game week 28 for those Chelsea boys against Leicester, which means no change in the leaderboards, really, other than we both got 3 more points.
Well, right. Tell us, who is the best differential, in your opinion, for game week 29?
The best guy is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Yes, 1.5% selected. People are not going to pick him. People are going to go for Elanga. People are going to go for Gibbs-White because these are the players that all of the experts are telling you to pick. However, Hudson-Odoi, what he may lack in data, he more than makes up for in form. 3 goals in the last 4 game weeks, in which he's started, might I add. He's just on one at the moment. And when this guy is in the right moments, he's the one for me. Against Ipswich away. Wow. I like this one.
He said longingly. My differential of the week for game week 29, top point scorer inbound, is Evan Nilsson.
I like it. I love it. I love that one.
1.4% owned. Brentford at home coming up front for one of the best attacking teams in the league. What more can you ask for? And he's Brazilian, isn't he?
He is.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, but I prefer a nice Brexit Hudson-Odoi. proper English name. Hudson.
Hudson-Odoi.
Don't forget the Odoi bit. Hudson.
Hudson is pretty Brexit. That's funny. I'll tell you what. Guess how old Hudson-Odoi is?
He's got to be like 25 now. He's been around forever. Do you know?
24.
He's 24?
Yeah.
You thought I was going to say younger, didn't you?
I thought you were going to say older.
Oh, right. Yeah, but didn't he break through at like 16?
Well, I think that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
It feels like he was at Chelsea like a few seasons ago.
You know, Forest paid 3 million for him.
Damn.
He was he was going to move to Bayern for
70 or something.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
And then ended up moving to Forest for 3 million and now is, beating Chelsea.
Yeah. About to play Champions League football again.
Yep.
Is it again? Was he ever in Champions League?
For Chelsea, he would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
And who else did he play for? Someone else.
He played for someone before Forest.
Yeah. Was it on loan?
I feel like it was Turkey.
Was it Turkey? Callum Hudson-Odoi did not play in Turkey. He played with Bayern Leverkusen. There you go.
Oh.
Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah, close enough.
So yeah, he has got European pedigree, apparently. Yep.
Rightio. Should we look at my car crash from last week?
Yeah, go ahead. Nice.
37 points, and I've got no one from the... Actually, I have Isak from the Newcastle game, but he ain't going to do nothing for me unless he scores a quadruple hat-trick, really. And even then, it probably won't save my red arrow. I have had a catastrophe week. 552k down to 800k. I knew the risk I was taking, and I even said to you when I saw you on Saturday that what's the difference between finishing 400k and 800k? And here I am at 800k.
Does it feel different?
It don't. And you know what? I'll do it again. I'll genuinely do it again. I feel a little bit hard done by. I think the overall context of the game was I went against Mo Salah up against Southampton, which was silly.
Yeah.
But there was a few caveats, right? The first one being there's little opportunity to find differential captaincy at the moment. I thought a captain against Leicester probably would have worked out. It should have worked out. One got 2 penalties, the other one got 1. Mo obviously bagged his and Palmer did not. So what could have been a minimum of 7-8 points became 1.
Yeah.
So not brilliant. Cole just hasn't been in great form, but I tend not to let form have a big impact on my thinking when I pick captaincy, because captaincy is so fleeting in a moment. But yeah, I mean, even outside of that, my team did horrid. Like, Dango didn't start. I had Gakpo, who I started, who didn't show up even on the bench. Dango came on for him. Chris Wood blanked. Rodgers blanked, had a goal ruled off. Burmo blanked. Mo Salah, the one player who hurts me the most, returned. Trent blanked. Mikalenko blanked. Raya blanked.
Yeah, double Arsenal defence.
Timber picked up a cheeky assist for me to probably save me from going outside the top 2 million. So, yeah, it wasn't a good week. And looking at my team for next week, I've got Gakpo not playing, Rodgers not playing, Trent not playing, Salah not playing, Isak not playing. Got 5 non-playing options.
How many transfers do you have for free transfers?
I have 2 free transfers. I also have Dango, who's likely to not start, and I have Okoli, who is not going to start.
You're wildcarding, aren't you?
I'm free hitting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So this whole show, we've been talking about what would you do if you were to free hit?
Yeah.
And you
I was
knew
talking
fully well.
I was talking from my chest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've kind of leaned into this, and I think a big part of this, because I could just take hits, right?
Yeah.
But a big part of this is I'll be hitting out Liverpool's and Newcastle's.
You don't have any Crystal Palace though.
I don't have Crystal Palace, but I've got 3 Liverpool who won't play again for like 20 days or something stupid, which means I've got a decent chance of getting Gakpo back. I'm also going to be selling Isak, who not only has a great fixture in 30, but has brilliant run after that.
Yeah. Sim, I don't know if this works.
Why?
I don't know from a chip strategy if it works to free hit with your team.
Why?
Because you only have 1 Newcastle and 0 Crystal Palace, and you need to get to Newcastle and Crystal Palace by game week 32.
So
how are you going to do that?
I have 2 free transfers.
You can't use your wild card before game week 34 if you're free hitting now.
Well, yeah. So I'll have to do transfers.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 free transfers.
Yeah, which obviously you'll keep.
Which I'll keep. And then I'll have a free transfer in 30, 31, 32, and then 33. That's 6 transfers that I've got between now and game week 33.
Okay, but you need to use them in 32.
Yeah, so I don't need to use all of them in 32. I can pile up on some Crystal Palace. I mean, I'm not really going to pile up. I'm going to add Anthony Gordon, Mateta if he's back. He probably will be back by 32. And Munoz. I'll have 4 players.
But you also need players who will double in 33. And likely now that's Man City and Aston Villa are the 2 most likely. You don't have anything from there. And then after that, it's like... I can't remember who's the next most likely. I have it somewhere. Yeah, I do just want to pause you before you lock into the strategy, because I've really deep chip strategy this season and I'm not sure this actually works.
You don't think so?
Yeah, because of the way your team is structured. I think it primarily works for people who are already loaded up on Crystal Palace and Newcastle.
But with 6 transfers, can't I fix it?
I think it's if Crystal Palace win their FA Cup quarterfinal, I think you'll be fine because you can get to triple Crystal Palace with your free transfers in 32 and 33, and that's 1 less double game week 33 team you need to worry about trying to grab those players from. But in a worst case scenario, I'm kind of looking through my stuff here. Yeah, it's Aston Villa, Man City, most likely to double. Like Brighton, double in 33. You've got nothing there. Arsenal, to be fair, you have double Arsenal, so that's helpful. Fulham.
I've got Castagno.
Is Castagno going to be playing by game week 33? How close is Matey?
The other guy.
The other guy. I just before you lock in, just just go through the game weeks of what your team would look like.
Yeah.
I know it's exciting, and this probably applies to anyone listening as well. Don't lock in too fast, because if it has knock-on effects, then you could be damaging yourself in the long term. The one other idea is just a wild card now.
I don't like that.
And make some predictions on what you think is going to happen.
I don't like the wild card. I know a lot of people are considering it right now.
In your scenario, I think I'd prefer to wild card than free hit. On initial glance, I would have to sit down and spend an hour on this generally to figure it out. But
if I was to wild card, I still can't have most of my Liverpool. I still can't have. I would probably keep Isak on a wild card actually, but I can't get too aggressive on Crystal Palace.
But you can make a start, and like you said, you will still have those free transfers. So you can make a really, really strong start. You can get, you probably have Salah, Isak, Henderson, Munoz on your bench. Get a really strong starting team as well. Look to free hitting in probably 33.
Damn. You've really confused me now. It's helpful. You're right. I need to plan this out a little bit in terms of what my team is going to look like.
And what things might look like in the future weeks.
33. It's...
I know, FPL is so much effort sometimes, isn't it?
I don't think you have to go that hard into the 33 and 34 blanket double.
Yeah, maybe not.
Like, I think maybe that's what's driving my thinking here.
Man City you would want, though, right? For their double in 33.
Who is it, though?
Everton and Aston Villa. Is
that a great double? Is Man City really that worthwhile? In the last 2 game weeks, how many points have Man City players got? Like, it's not brilliant, but obviously, in an ideal world, I would have it. Maybe...
Arsenal are looking at Ipswich and Crystal Palace if Crystal Palace make it through.
Okay, if I'm not free hitting, this is what my options are, right?
Okay.
So Akoli can't play.
Yeah.
So I would be forced into selling Trent most likely.
You could just take a hit, no?
Yeah, no. So this is what I'm saying. So I would be selling Gakpo, Rodgers, and probably Isak for a -4.
Yeah.
To bring in who was I looking at? Cliver, Beto, and I think it was...
Wait, not Evan Nilsson?
I don't think I can afford it. I don't think I can afford it. But it would be something like that. I wouldn't be able to get Haaland.
No, you wouldn't.
Unless I was so frustrated. I'm like 0.2 or 3 away from doing Gakpo, Rodgers, and Trent to Gvardiol, a decent midfielder.
You could just sell Salah.
No, it cost me too much to get him back.
I don't think it'll be that bad. By the time we get to the Gameweek 29 deadline, a lot of people would have sold Salah, who probably drops 0.1, 0.2 by deadline. No?
I've got like 0.6 sat in him. I've had him for the whole season.
So you're down 0.5, 0.4 instead. Like, it's not ideal, but points are worth more than team value. At the end of the season, your team value doesn't go on your record. Your points total does.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have to be a case of selling Salah then. It's one to consider. And the thing is, if I do have Haaland, I can avoid Salah anyway because I'll be captaining Haaland in Gameweek 30.
That helps.
Yeah. So,
and again, it's a really risky play. And if you say that you want to do another risk, Gameweek 30 is the perfect time with Haaland instead of Salah.
Yeah. Salah plays against Everton, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely one to consider. I'm a little bit stuck. Dango's done me.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's super frustrating for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, if he was still playing, this would be a little bit simpler. But it's just I'm looking at this and thinking, even if I -4, -8 into 11 players,
yeah,
I'm still looking at Dango in my 11.
Yeah.
So it's not brilliant, but yeah, I think I need to have a bit more of a think about it.
I think. Let's Talk FPL Andy is in a very similar situation to you.
He's wildcarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he's already come up with a strategy to navigate it with including the wild card, which I haven't.
Yeah. But we have
maybe he can advise a little bit better.
We have very different play styles.
That's also true.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
let's take a look at your team.
Good luck, mate. I don't know what you're going to end up doing. I'm looking forward to next week's podcast now to see how this all unfolds. How do you navigate it?
It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, man.
Let's take a look at your team.
Okay, well, yeah, a pretty poor week for me. I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? Because there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with my team, and yet it didn't really do any points. Every player aside from Dango, who obviously we knew that he'd fallen out of favour, looked like they had a pretty strong game week and a good chance of some FPL points. And Burnmore and Wissa against Aston Villa surprised me that Aston Villa finally keep a clean sheet the moment I have double Brentford attack against them.
I was roasting them on my stream.
How?
Absolutely roasting their defence.
They're awful defence. They are statistically the second worst defence in the season on underlying stats over the past few months. And suddenly pulled out a clean sheet. So surprised by that. Palmer missed penalty, but I think you suffered that one a bit more than I did. No clean sheet for Liverpool against Southampton. How's that happening?
You know when that Palmer penalty was happening.
Yeah.
So I tend to keep my phone away from me when I'm watching the football, right?
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise,
yeah, you get spoilers.
Yeah. They win the penalty. Palmer steps up, and my phone just goes bzz, 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 bzz.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, he's missed it.
That's the group chat going.
It was every chat was going, basically.
Oh, man.
Twitter was going, everything was going. And I was like, I just knew he missed it before he even shot it, just because my phone had absolutely popped off. So yeah, no, that was harrowing.
Yeah, it sounds awful. I mean, it really puts into my perspective. Like, I thought I had a bad game week, and I'm genuinely gutted about my game week as well. Like, but I think what I'm most frustrated about is that I don't really know what I did wrong. And if it was like, oh yeah, Dan, you shouldn't have done that. It was pretty stupid. Like, and that's why you've got a red arrow. It'd be easier to take. But yeah, I just feel a little bit hard done by. Boo-hoo.
I mean, you're what, like 9 points away from safety? Like, it's not that big of a red arrow.
Yeah, I guess so. But the good news is I do have three free transfers for game week 29, and I think I can deal with it a little bit easier. I mean, technically, like I can make two free transfers and have 11 men, including Dango. Use all three free transfers, and I deal with Dango as well. But I think I'm more likely to take a hit and just try and get to a team that I actually really want for the next 2 game weeks. And I would love to sit here and tell you exactly what I will do, but there are so many options. It's really quite crazy what you can do with 4 free transfers. But most likely is going to be Ndai to Haaland. I'll most likely sell Trent rather than Hall just to get that extra bit of money out. And I can't really see myself owning Trent again this season. I mean, I might, but like I don't think it's a guarantee, so I'm not too fussed about kind of cashing in there. And yeah, if I take Alexander-Arnold down to an Agbadu or even an Ait-Nouri or something like that, then it really opens my options up for, you know, upgrading Ndai to Haaland, and then it will be Palmer and Dango would go to 2 midfielders.
Why do you have so much money in the bank?
Don't know.
Where'd you come from?
I don't know. I think I've just been slowly downgrading players and just not really upgrading it. Maybe that's why I'm getting red arrows, because I keep downgrading players and not upgrading them.
That assistant manager money hit the bank, you didn't realise.
Yeah, I mean, I've never reinvested the assistant manager money. That's for a start. And I haven't made transfers in like 3 weeks now. Yeah. Because I got free transfers. So I think it's a bit of that.
You've been earning interest on your bank.
Maybe. So yeah, so if Trent, Palmer, and Ndai and Dango go, 3 free transfers and 1 hit.
Palmer?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then I can pretty much get Haaland and any medium-priced midfielders and defenders I want.
Ødegaard?
I don't think I can quite get to an Ødegaard or a Bruno, but for 2 game weeks, I don't think I would anyway.
You have to get Bruno.
So I think I'd have to go pretty cheap. If I wanted Bruno, I'd basically have to go Trent to Agbadu, and the one Palmer would go to Bruno, and then Dango I think would have to come down to like a 4.9 million, so like a Bellegarde or someone, or a Nwaneri, maybe. Minter? I don't even know if a 5 million works.
Minter's 4.5, isn't he?
5.
I swear Minter's 4.5.
He's 5. I looked.
Hold up, because
he really is 5.
Oh, he's predicted 4.5 points.
Got you. Just wow, weird. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Is I don't know where I'm at. I think most likely I have Haaland up front instead of Ndai. Instead of Palmer and Dango, I probably have Hudson-Odoi and maybe Savinho, maybe. And then in defence, I pretty much can go anywhere up to 5 million for a defender. So maybe like Nori. But I don't know. I still haven't really decided, and thankfully we've got a few more days to decide. But
yeah,
I think Haaland and Hudson-Odoi will be in there.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Sounds
and Captain Haaland.
I think for me, Bruno will be one that's definitely going to be my team, more so than Haaland.
But it's a 2 game week thing with Bruno because he plays. Who's he playing 30?
He plays
Forest away.
Forest. I mean, it's more so. I think he's going to be so highly owned in 29.
I don't think it'll be that bad because no one owns Bruno right now. He's like 10% owned.
But everyone's going to be selling midfielders.
Yeah, but there's so many midfield options. I think, yes, a lot of people will end up on Bruno, but his ownership's not going to be crazy. He'll still be semi-differential, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But no, he's a good pick for sure. No doubt about it. But yeah, I don't think I can get there without making sacrifices that I don't really want to make, I think.
Fair enough. Well, it's been a good show.
Yeah, it's a jammed pack.
Free hit show. And you know what? I do like these episodes where we have a sort of very focused sort of thinking on what's happening, and it's a critical game week. I feel like it's a critical point in the season right now.
For sure. It could be make or break for a lot of people, and the decisions that you make now might have some ramifications later down the line as well, depending on who you pick up and what you're kind of... Because everyone's finalising strategies now, really, aren't they? This is it. This is crunch time. It has begun. We've had a little play around with an assistant manager, but it's when we get to free hit and wild card, that is the meat of your chip strategy, and it has so many knock-on effects when you use each of these and stuff like that. So it's gonna be an interesting few weeks, I think. It will be. I'm in for a crazy week this week planning. So guys, please make sure you hit that subscribe, follow, like, 5-star, all the fun stuff. I probably should say this earlier, but I always forget at the start of every episode. But it's really important that you do, because otherwise we can't be giving away these mugs. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So also, if you do want the mug, make sure to comment the amount of points
Salah will get in Gameweek 29.
And shall I add a stipulation now?
What?
Just to give people a upper hand. If you put dash instead of 0, you'll get a higher chance.
No. Everyone gets the same opportunity to answer here. If you can guess the points that he'll get, I think maybe some people will get it right, maybe some people get it wrong. We'll see what happens. But we'll pick out the people who get it right. We'll pick out them.
Okay. All right. And where do they have to submit their answer?
YouTube. Yeah.
In the comment section.
Yes. So, yeah, go ahead and do that. But yeah, thank you guys for your support, as always, on the pod. It's going to be a weird couple of weeks with the international break and stuff. We'll, of course, have a show for Game Week 30. Will Game Week 30 be a wild card special, or are we maybe saving that for Game Week 31, or maybe a bit both?
I think it's got to be both.
We'll do both 2 wildcard specials in a row.
Yeah.
A free hit special and then 2 wildcard specials.
Yeah.
Mad. Okay, cool. Well, we'll do that next week, whenever that might be. So there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching, listening once again, and we will see you on the Game Week 30 episode. Good luck this week, and goodbye.
Salute.